Hey YouTube, it's me, Brandon Colonel again. Next video that I've got for you guys is a little bit different for my channel. It's not exactly a knife review, but it is gear review, which generally I do carry quite a bit of. So, as I stated in a previous video, I've got two multi-tools here that I would like to review. This is basically just how I've been carrying them lately. I find that I actually really do carrying both. I do enjoy carrying both quite a bit. They each have individual uses that the other one doesn't really fit too well. So let's actually get to this one first. This is the doohickey. It's basically just spelled D-O-O-H-I-C, and then the rest is basically key. Because it's, well, meant to be like a keychain tool, so doohickey. This is actually a pretty useful little tool. Now, granted, some features I feel are a little bit more useful than others. Like, there's a bit of a hex driver bit here, that it's got two different sizes. That one, I don't personally find all that useful to me, but that's mainly due to the fact of there's nothing that I need it for. There is absolutely nothing that I need it for. And the one time that I could use it, the bit was actually in metric, and this is in imperial, so that doesn't help me at all. So the one time that I did need it, it didn't work. So, I'm just guessing that the thing was in metric, so I don't know. The bottle opener works about as well as you'd imagine. The pry bar actually does work pretty well, but I find myself using it a little bit more as a scraper tool. They do say that this little point here actually ends up working as a box cutter. Box opener maybe, but cutter, not a chance in this life. It just doesn't work that way at all, no matter how much you try to do it. I would literally have to sharpen this thing before it actually became useful as a box cutter. So, don't let that fool you, it's not a box cutter. But it does work really well as a scraper. I've used this thing on more than one occasion to scrape something off, and it really does work. As a pry bar, it's nice and sturdy. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, and you don't have too much leverage, but it still works really well for when you just need to pry something up. Like, for instance, say that you don't have any fingernails in order to get this other pry bar off. Actually, it does work pretty well to get in, lift it up, and basically just do exactly what you need to. Pry something up so that way you can either get something off or just simply remove it in general. But in general, this actually is a pretty decent little pry bar. I do enjoy it. But like I said, I use it a little bit more as a scraper tool. One other thing that it comes with, let me see if I can actually get it in focus here. There we go. It has a 2-inch measurement ruler on it, and that really does come in handy, actually. I've used that a couple of times now, just for a standard odds and ends thing here and there. And yeah, that really does work. And it does have a metric on this side as well. So, yeah, that actually really does come in handy. I've used it a couple of times here and there, and while I wouldn't exactly say that's invaluable, when you need it, it's really handy to have. So, yeah, the doohickey, if I were to pay for it, I would definitely pay money for it. I was actually sent this, so I don't know how much they retail for, but I'd imagine probably $5 or less. That's just my imagining, I guess. But I would easily buy this thing after having actually used one. Now, we get to the Gerber Shard. A little bit more ergonomic. Just a tad bit bigger, not by all that much. But the way that they've done it, it's definitely a lot more ergonomic, and you get a little bit more leverage. It's a lot more comfortable. The way that they do everything, it melts into your hand very easily. So that way, you just grip it like you really should. Um, Everything is nice and rounded, so it's not uncomfortable to use. Um, Again, the bottle opener works about as well as you'd imagine. This I do find incredibly sharp. Like, stupid, ridiculously sharp and pointy. A little bit more sharp than it really should be, actually. Um, so just to keep that in mind if it's on your pants. If this catches onto any kind of cloth or anything like that that's not actually attached to your body, this thing will stick. So one thing that I would definitely recommend is taking some kind of a file to really just smoothen that off just a bit. You really don't need it to be that ridiculously sharp. But otherwise, the entire thing is really well thought out, very comfortable, and the fact that it's actually curved like this gives you a lot more leverage. So if you really need to bear down on something and get it up, this is what you need to use, and it's really easy. The fact that they've got it 4-tier allows for a couple of different things. First and foremost, as you could probably imagine, nail puller. You can easily pull out a nail with this thing, and it does its job pretty well. But what I find myself using the forked little part for is actually pulling out knots. Recently, I actually got the hammock that also came with the same package as these two tools, and I've been using that hammock quite a bit lately. Well, the last time that I'd put it up, the knots had gotten a little too tight because of how long I sat in it the time before. And then I didn't actually untie those knots at the end of the day, so they just kind of sat there and got tighter. Well, when it came to put it up again, then either I put it up at a different spot, or I don't know exactly. But the bottom line, they weren't the same length that it needed to be, so I had to retie it. Well, I almost took off my fingernail trying to get these knots undone, until finally I pulled this thing out and wedged the smaller part inside of the knots in order to get it undone. Maybe 5 minutes later, I had about 7 different knots undone just with this one little tool right here. So, as a pry bar, this thing, it really works well in several different ways. You can actually use it as a knot puller even. But yeah, I do find that the screwdriver attachment that this is actually designed to be, while it works, it's a little bit more awkward to use, and I don't enjoy using it as much. This screwdriver attachment, yeah, works like a charm, no problems whatsoever. I enjoy using it. But this one up here is a little bit more awkward, and personally, if it comes to a flathead screwdriver, I'd rather just simply pull out my Gerber dime and use this one. Well, this one is on my keychain, a little bit handier to use. It's, like I said, it's a bit more awkward, and I don't like it as much, so I just simply pull out this instead. But yeah, overall, these are really, really good multi-tools that I would recommend to anyone. No matter what your reasoning is, these two multi-tools work really well together. They take care of the job just fine. They fit on your keys with ease. You really don't have to worry about these when they're on your keychain. And they really don't take up all that much extra space. I mean, as you can see, while I've got quite a bit of crap here on my keychain, in retrospect, I really don't have all that much. The lanyard just hangs down because I keep it on my belt loop. So these just hang down out of the way. They don't really get in all that much way. And then as far as this, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things on my keys. Add this and I've got 7. I don't even really have enough to be called a janitor's key set yet. So I really don't carry all that much. But all in all, when you do have this stuff on here, it really doesn't take up all that much space. They really take up about the exact same space as your average key. So, it's really not bad. You don't have to worry about it. Honestly, the hardest part about this is just simply getting it on and off the keychain if you're specifically using this one for a long time, which is one feature that I really do appreciate about this. The carabiner attachment makes life so much simpler. What in the world? Oh, there we go. That's why. But yeah, the carabiner attachment on the doohickey makes life so much simpler. You really don't have to worry about it because you can just simply... Oh, sorry about that. Hit my tripod. But you can just easily take... Wow, I am butterfingers today. You can just easily take it off using that, and it just makes it so much easier to deal with. But yeah, that's about really all there is to say about these attachments and these keys. Or keys. These multi-tools. So I'm actually just going to cut it off right there. And as always, YouTube, stay safe.